What's up, weirdos? We are back with another Zebek special spaces with CodaPay. We have been waiting for this for about a week, so I'm excited about this one, guys, as well. We're going to get right into it. It's only about 16 minutes long, this one. It's not quite as long as the other ones, but I'm sure there's going to be some gems that we are going to be able to uncover, my friends. Now, before we dive into it, real quick shout out to the channel sponsors. As always, Decent Biometric Wallet, 2-for-1 deal by using our link down below. Also, BTCC, shout out to them, guys. We will be using BTCC over on our swing trade tier on the Patreon moving forward. A lot of good perks for that, guys. Use our link and our invite code down in the description. Get yourself all set up for all the perks that come with it. And jump over to the Patreon and join our swing trade tier. We currently have 3 open swing trades we're working on right now, and so much more to come, guys. You're not going to want to miss it. We're doing copy pro trading over there as well. You want to learn how to make some passive income? This is how it is done. All right, guys, let's get into this spaces without any further ado. Here we go.
Pretty good. Just just getting everything settled. On your end, is CodaPay still? I guess.
Yeah, so at the moment, CodaPay is, I'm just trying to add as a speaker. So it still says connecting.
Yeah, on my end as well.
Yeah. So I'll catch up with Simon now because we can intro the spaces and get everyone settled in. And maybe in the background, if you can just reach out to the team at CodaPay and just let them know that I think maybe we remove them, which I've just done now.
Right.
And then hopefully they can come back up in a moment.
Agreed. Let me work on this. I'll be on mute real quick.
No worries. Okay. Simon, how are you, sir?
Doing well, Ben. Nice to be back with you in just a few days after our last spaces.
Yes, agreed. It's good to have a good cadence running. I thought the last one was excellent as well, by the way. Really, really enjoyed speaking with Mr. Telecom from World Mobile. I thought that was great. So how's your week been and how are things?
We've been incredibly busy. I mean, we're gearing up for a very big September at Zebek. A lot of great announcements and product updates in the pipeline, which we're going to be rolling out over the next couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we're extremely excited today to be finally speaking with CodaPay. Obviously, CodaPay has been a longtime partner of Zebek, as well as our payroll subsidiary, PayBridge. They were really a pioneer in the payroll processing business in the US, with a company that's been around for over 100 years, working alongside, a very young and nimble startup like Zebek. So it's really a beautiful thing to see, and I want to dive very deep into the partnership today on the spaces.
I think that's great. I can still see the little spinny wheel saying connecting under CodaPay, but interestingly, when I go to our speakers, I can see that they are kind of up as a speaker. So, Jim, I don't know if you can hear us, and maybe if you are on or off mute, but maybe if you want to just speak and let us know if you are trying to join. I'm not sure if we've got you here.
Yeah, so I basically removed them. So Jim, if you're listening, I'm sending to you another invite. Just try to see if you can join.
Perfect. Okay. In the meantime, what I would ask everyone here to do, obviously, we like to get these spaces in front of as big an audience as possible. So if you can hit the little speech bubble in the bottom right-hand corner of your phone and just head down to the bottom there and give this space a like and a repost, maybe drop us a comment and say hello. That would be great. And then we can obviously try and get this in front of more people. Feeds the algorithm, which is always good. And then in the meantime, we can see if we can get the CodaPay account to come up and join us again. I'm sorry that we're having a little bit of a technical issue with them to that end. Simon, talk to me a little bit then about the relationship between Zebek and CodaPay, just so that I can kind of let's try and frame the spaces a little bit while we wait for CodaPay to join.
Absolutely, and happy to give some context to the relationship. So,
yeah,
CodaPay is the payroll processing division of the First International Bank and Trust, FIBT. This is a community bank based in the US that's been in business since 1910. And the reason we partnered up with them all these years ago was to move money in a compliant way in the US, right? Not being a company at the time which held money transmission licenses in all 50 states, it made a lot of sense for us to partner with a bank that has already been in the business of moving payroll funds. And to this day, CodaPay is paying our employees in over 50 in all 50 states of the US. They're also expanding into an international business as well. So we really view them as a long-term partner of Zebek. And as the industry increasingly moves towards stablecoin payroll, it's going to be interesting to see banks like FIBT and other community banks enter the issuance game when it comes to stablecoins.
Love that. And I think one of the other things that we were also talking about, maybe bringing up during the call, was the Genius Act, which got passed a couple of weeks ago in the US, which is that kind of like first real legislative push in the US to acknowledge that that stable coins are kind of like, you know, legal and valid tender, and that people are able to kind of like process payroll using them, all kinds of things like that. Is there anything that you wanted to touch on from that end in terms of what we're doing, and then hopefully we can bring Jim up in a moment?
Well, that's definitely one of the areas we wanted to dive into today. Of course, stablecoin payroll is a concept that's existed for years with limited traction, to be honest, due to the lack of clear regulation around how banks and corporations can issue and transact with stablecoins. This, of course, all changed earlier this year with the passing of the Genius Act in the US, which effectively makes stablecoins, as you said, Ben, legal tender and issuable by certain US banks that back such tokens one-to-one with reserves. This is a huge leap forward for the crypto industry and has opened the floodgates for banks to enter the stablecoin arena and partner with infrastructure providers like Zebek. Because remember, we provide the rails to move stablecoins in real time and process payroll in a compliant way. Now we're seeing from both the employee side, of course, people see the value in receiving payments in a more transferable form of currency, so stable coins, as well as from the employer side. Many Fortune 500s are now holding portions of their balance sheet in digital assets, namely Bitcoin and other major tokens. So providing payroll in a stablecoin digital format also makes sense for employers. So we're seeing demand coming from both sides right now, which is why this has been such a hot topic lately.
I love that, and it's a really exciting topic too, given the fact that so many, I guess, like established, you know, banks and financial institutions can really kind of start to move and better understand this emerging kind of like decentralized finance arena and everything that's growing around it with perhaps a little less trepidation, right? It feels suddenly like passing of the Genius Act is permission, perhaps, for the more established brands and legacy banks, etc., to be able to come forward and say, okay, well, let's actually really start to explore this and understand how we can work with it. And like you say, like 100-year-old, I love the juxtaposition here of having a 100-year-old bank and a relatively new kid on the block. One that has worked in, you know, previously all kinds of like banking, you know, like formats, and then one who is now coming to the fore from a Web3 blockchain-based perspective. And the fact that we can kind of move those two things together here is, I think, hugely exciting in the sense that we, you know, that there is work that you two feel like you can do together.
Exactly. And part of the beauty of what we've built at Zebek is that it can integrate directly with any bank in the ACH system through our connection to CodaPay. So our goal, of course, is to drive mass adoption, not by replacing the current system, but by plugging our rails into the Federal Reserve managed systems in the US, such as FedWire and FedNow, which already process trillions in daily transaction volume. So for us to grow as a company at the rate that we want to, it makes much more sense to partner with the leaders in the existing system rather than build a new system that is completely outside of that realm.
Yeah, love that. So look, in the background, our team are scrabbling away with Jim because he's having technical issues getting up onto the spaces. I did run a test space with him a little bit earlier and it all worked absolutely fine. They're working to do that now. I understand they're speaking with him to try and help him through that process. While we're waiting for him, I'm going to pick on one of the questions that that was going to be positioned to you anyway, Simon, and then hopefully that will add a bit more context to what's going on between Zebek and CodaPay, and you know, not not steal any of Jim and CodePay's thunder when he comes up and join us. So basically, the question was like, what strengths has the CodePay FIBT relationship brought to the Zebec PayBridge's payment infrastructure? And I think it would be really, really
Lost my connection there briefly. I apologize, guys. I apologize. Luckily, I was able to pause it. All right, let's keep it going.
when he comes up and join us. So basically, the question was like, what strengths has the CodePay FIBT relationship brought to the Zebec PayBridge's payment infrastructure? And I think it would be really, really good to kind of cover that, because that then gives a really clear signal of why it was important for Zebec to pursue that partnership.
Many things to touch on here. But CodePay and FIBT have been instrumental to us being able to consistently and compliantly deliver payroll payments to employees in all 50 states, never being late once or missing a single payroll in all of these years. And with CodePay operating as a division of a federally regulated bank and operating in the industry for, of course, over 100 years, Zebec and PayBridge have teamed up with what we think are true veterans in the industry. And we bring kind of the next generation of payment technology to US employers and consumers alongside their industry experience and expertise. CodePay has been also a major driver of our compliance efforts at Zebec, of course, with them being SOC 2 compliant many years before we were, which ultimately drove our own drive to get the SOC 2 compliance, which we will be announcing very shortly here at Zebec as we're getting towards the end of the month. And it's helped us build our operational security and trust with customers, which is, of course, the #1 factor.
Absolutely, and I think that's hugely important, and I really, really appreciate you covering that there. One of the other pieces I was going to ask you to cover with when it comes to like the whole piece is maybe to just touch on how you see emerging payment technologies like stablecoins fitting alongside like existing payroll infrastructure. Is that something that you feel like you could touch on now?
Absolutely. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, at Zebec, it's all about being able to plug into the existing system and make it better for both employers and employees. And when you look at stablecoin technology, I mean, the benefit of adding it into existing payroll infrastructure really comes down to the improvements you see in speed, cost, and accessibility. We have use cases of employers that are on-ramping parts of their payroll flow and allowing their employees to select partial stablecoin payment. And for us, this is an incredibly important KPI that we are tracking to see those opt-in rates and volumes increase with time. Because for us, that's a statement that, our value proposition of stablecoin payroll is increasingly more compelling than receiving your traditional payroll via fiat every 2 weeks. Now, we're also in talks with some of the largest payroll companies in the US for this sort of integration into their HCM platforms and payment flows. And the first of these should be announcing sometime next month, which we're super excited about. I can't get into too much detail about this right now. But what we're trying to say is the big guys are listening. The industry is waking up to this. And people know that Zebec have been building this technology in a compliant way for years. So we are the go-to solution.
I love that. I think, at quarter past almost, we're getting to the point where we might need to come back to this one. And it seems like CodePay are perhaps having technical difficulties that they're unable to fix, which is a shame because we had them up right at the beginning of the show. So I'm going to ask you a couple of other questions, Simon, and then we can wrap, and then perhaps we can reschedule with the guys at CodePay. I think one of the ones that I was really interested to ask you, given what you've just explained to me, is that the big folk are starting to wake up to what's going on. Without naming names, I totally appreciate that you can't. What type of industries are showing the most interest in new payment options like stable coins?
So there's a few that we've seen, better traction than others in, and I would point to the education vertical as being a big one. Of course, PayBridge is one of the leaders in education payments in the U.S. So we've seen, high adoption at charter schools, for example, amongst teachers that are more crypto savvy, let's say, than the average employee. And then, of course, marrying that to our science card acquisition in the UK, we're also seeing, good adoption there amongst universities. Similarly, we're seeing uptick in the logistics sector and the hospitality sector. The logistics sector makes a lot of sense with our pay card technology because, for example, truck drivers can receive payments from their employer for covering some of their expenses related to their work. Hospitality employees can manage tips on these pay cards and get paid on a daily basis at the end of their shift rather than having to wait, every 2 weeks or every month. So those are just 3 examples, but I'd say we've seen, employer interest from across the industries in the US and abroad.
Love that. And it's really, really interesting to hear those different things. I think it's great that Zebec isn't just trying to bank the unbanked, but it's actually looking at their circumstances, and it's not just saying we can offer you a out of the box solution. It's something that is truly tailored to their needs as an employee, and I think that is a really, really interesting point that we need to touch on more often. Okay, I'm hearing in the background here that we might not be able to get the guys on. It looks like that might be a broader connectivity problem because the team are actually even struggling to get them onto a Zoom or a Google call at the moment. So I feel like perhaps their connectivity is broken down at their end. They've only been able to contact them via mobile. So I think probably the best thing we can do, Simon, now at this point is wrap this one and maybe reschedule it quite quickly afterwards. And hopefully we can let the people have some of their time back and then move forward and bring up Jim and the team from CodeToPay as a guest in a few days.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Ben, for hosting. Thanks to the community for joining. Unfortunately,
we did get out of them that we have some big announcements coming for September. So stay tuned for that, guys. Big things coming, big things popping, little things stopping. And on top of that, we get another Spaces with CodeToPay, probably tomorrow, I would assume. But that is it for this one, my friends. We did get some exciting stuff out of there. We are going to have some big announcements. He said we are rolling out a massive September for Zebec. Load up your bags while you can. Not financial advice. You do you, boo-boo, but I know what I'm doing. Guys, like I said at the beginning, if you are new to crypto, if you have never been through a bull run before, or if you want to participate in copy pro trading, swing trades, and micro cap gems, get over to the Patreon. Join me and thousands of other members today. The link is down in the description. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. See you guys in the next one. God bless.